Welcome to the White House. Thank you so much for coming today to our Women's Entrepreneurship It's Her Time event with the Council on Women and Girls and the National Women's Business Council here. We're excited to have a great conversation with you all today, and I'm just going to get it kicked off. I'm Jordan Brooks. I'm the Deputy Director of the White House Council on Women and Girls. We work very closely with the National Women's Business Council and the Small Business Administration on all things women's entrepreneurship. So we're very excited to have you all here today. And so, without further ado, I'd like to introduce a woman who needs no introduction, is a fantastic advocate for women's entrepreneurs around the country, Ms. Carla Harris, who is the chair of the National Women's Business Council. Carla was appointed by President Barack Obama to chair the National Women's Business Council in August of 2013, and she has been a fierce advocate, as you all know, and a fantastic public speaker and a wonderful leader of this community. She's also the Vice Chairman of Global Wealth Management, Managing Director, and Senior Client Advisor at Morgan Stanley. So we are very excited to have Carla here. Carla?
Well, thank you very much, Jordan, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And happy Women's History Month. As you just heard, my name is Carla Harris, and I'm the chair of the National Women's Business Council. And for those of you who may not know, the National Women's Business Council is a federal advisory council, and we are counselors, as we like to say, to three customers: the U.S. Small Business Administration, the Congress, and the White House on all issues as they relate to women entrepreneurs. As you might also know, the council was established in 1988 with H.R. 5050, which was a landmark piece of legislation that eliminated individual state laws that required women to have a male co-sign on a loan. Throughout the years, the NWBC has brought together women business owners and leaders and policymakers, bankers and investors, representatives of women's business organizations, and other stakeholders to identify the unique challenges facing women in business and to formulate potential policy solutions. Our members are prominent women in business and leaders of national women and business membership organizations. And please allow me to introduce my illustrious council. Please stand when I call your name. Christy Arslan. She's a representative of Women Impacting Public Policy, and if you can remain standing, please. Marsha Bailey, representative of the Association of Women's Business Centers. Rosanna Privitera Biondo. Kimberly Blackwell. Carrie Warburg Block, Shelley Kapoor Collins, Sherry Stewart Deutschman, Marcia Firestone, who's a representative of Women's Presidents Organization, Whitney Keys, Dr. Teresa Nelson, representative of ASTIA, Pam Prince Eason, representative of Women's Business Enterprise National Council, Deborah Rosada Shaw, Ann Shabunko Moore, and Laura Yamanaka, representative of the National Association of Women's Business Owners. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your National Women's Business Council. Thank you, ladies. As I said, it's the council's job to equip the nation's decision makers, public and private, with policy recommendations that will impact and improve the business climate for women in our country. We do this by producing best-in-class research on the most relevant issues facing current and aspiring women business owners and leaders. Our hope is to use compelling and rigorous research to incite action and build bridges. You heard me say we are a consultative body, but we're not a group of consultative kind of girls. So we're trying to produce research that will encourage action so that we can improve the climate for women entrepreneurs. As evidenced by the numbers and lived by many of you in this room today, and those of you who are joining us online, women's entrepreneurship has evolved from a growing trend to an integral contributor to innovation, as well as economic and job growth in this country. The council is proud to represent the collective voices of women entrepreneurs, and together, we and you can build on this power of this growing body of enlightened and empowered women entrepreneurs. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce a real friend to the National Women's Business Council. You heard me say that one of our, quote, customers was the Small Business Administration, and it is my honor to introduce the 24th administrator of the SBA, Maria Contreras-Sweet. She is a successful entrepreneur, business executive, and now state cabinet official. Throughout her career in both the public and private sector, she has been a champion of diversity and also a champion of access to capital and equal opportunity for Americans. She is a tremendous advocate for women's entrepreneurship, and her leadership at the smart, bold, and accessible SBA has enabled this administration to reach record levels of lending to women and achieve a contracting milestone, which she'll tell you all about in case you did not see the landmark news release last week. Ms. Contreras-Sweet, thank you so much for joining us today. This mic is all yours.
While. It's all good. How's everybody doing? Very well. Thank you for bringing the sunshine with you. I really appreciate that. So nice. Let me just start by, first of all, thanking all of you for what you're doing every single day on behalf of women. This is such an incredible group to convene here at the White House today, and under the very able leadership of Ms. Carla Harris. Isn't she amazing? Her energy and everything else, just incredible. I was fighting a little something. That's why I was standing in the back of the room. But, you know, being in her presence always energizes me and just puts me right back to normal. Thank you very much. Thank you. I also want to acknowledge the fantastic team that we have at SBA. You all know that we are so proud to have you on our budget. We fight for you every day. I'm the appointing officer of the council. And so it's always nice to see my appointees here convening, and it's wonderful to have you. Let me just say that though all of this with Carla and Amanda doesn't happen so easily, we have a really strong Office of Women Business Leadership. And so Erin Andrews, would you please take a bow for running all of our women's efforts at the agency? Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you. And we are doing so many amazing things. I'm going to talk a little bit about them, but let me just say, so we don't do too many applauses, we'll just do one. And that is, let me just say that you all know that for women to get started, we need to have the proper counseling in place. And so the head of the entire nation's counseling initiative, including what we do abroad, is Ms. Tamika Harris, a woman, Tamika Montgomery, I'm so sorry. Tamika, thank you so much. Boom, give her one big applause. Thank you. Thank you. And for the first time in the history of SBA, we have a woman running our Veterans Outreach Program. Barb Carson. Please, Barb, take a bow. Thank you. Thank you. Now, we do have some men in the room, and so I want to tell you that he's getting waved in, and so he'll be here soon. But I want to thank you for inviting John Shiraka, who's been doing an incredible amount of work. And that's what I want to share with you right now. That is, as Carla just mentioned, didn't we have a lot of fun last week, ladies, for those of you who were in? And you were such a big hero in this story, and that is that for the first time in the nation's history, the SBA has obtained across the federal government, finally reached its goal with contracting for women. That's a big deal. We got there finally. Finally, we're so thrilled. I know it sounds like a small number, but it's a start. We had put in statute, not me, you, fighting for many, many, many years, you put in statute a 5% goal. And do you know that 5% goal, we represent 50% of the population, right? But we finally got there. We hadn't been able to get there, and it was in large measure because of so many policy initiatives, program things, and just outreach and hard work that SBA and all of you have been doing in cooperation with us. So we want to thank you because it's a terrific day, and we're so delighted to share with you the progress that we're making. But this was an important milestone. You all know that the U.S. government is the largest procurer in the world, and so when we say that 5%, it represents goods and services purchased from women, billions of dollars that we're talking about. And so what we have to do is make sure that we continue to grow small businesses. The large preponderance of small businesses Women-owned businesses have one employee, sole source provider. So how can you get a federal contract and manage that, get your surety bonding, your certification, everything else that happens? And so I'm just thrilled that we've now set a new floor. It's a floor now, ladies, right? We're not going to let them go down anymore. And that's why today is so important, because what we share with you, you now know that a year from now, I won't be standing here talking to you. I mean, this is good, happy talk, but we also have to talk about the reality. So to the extent that you own these programs, that you know about the programs, and that you continue to spur the work, means that we'll be able to lock these programs in. And that's very, very important to all of us here in this room. So we're really delighted. We got there in large measure because of WIP and Ann Sullivan, and so many of you worked with the Women Impacting Public Policy and Amex, and that turned out to be a really wonderful partnership that we call Challenger. The last three letters are HER. And so we're able to challenge women across the country to reach wider, broader, and deeper to get these contracts. I was also pleased that in order for us to continue to make this the floor and not the ceiling and to push forward, we fought last year on Capitol Hill. I still remember making the call to Senator Carl Levin when I said, you know, we need sole source contracting for women. And he said, well, I haven't been tracking that. He's a very, very nice gentleman. And I said, are you kidding? Every woman in the country is watching you, and everybody in the country knows I'm making this call right now. And he said, well, I better get off the call and go get that amendment in place. It was very, very sweet. Call Maria Cantwell. They followed up with letters, and everybody worked together on this. And so for the first time in the history, when we now at SBA go across USG, Department of Defense, Energy, Health, all of them, we can now say to those procuring officers, you have the ability to sole source this contract if a woman is uniquely qualified. That is a first in American history also. We're thrilled that that's another accomplishment. Another issue that when I arrived I saw was that we have categories. You all know, you're all experts, so you know that we set the NAICS codes, the National Association of Industry Classification System. And it means that we decide what is small. So in some industries, when you're talking about shoe manufacturing, it may be a different size small. Maybe that's 500 employees versus if you're talking about a law firm, then maybe that's 50 employees. It is small. So we determine what small is in each category. When we set those NAICS codes, what we found is that women were underrepresented in only very few categories, but yet I wasn't seeing the level of procurement that was taking place. So we asked that a study be conducted, went to our faithful